Howdy folks, this is BelGeode. We are in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and this is a test, otherwise known as one of my chill vids. So, yeah, happy Thanksgiving, first of all, to those of you in the United States who celebrate it. Obviously, this video will come out after Thanksgiving and after Black Friday. But there's no way I could have done this video before Thanksgiving and before Black Friday, because this bird that we're taking a look at was a huge surprise for all of us on Black Friday. So, I'm co-opting the video that I was going to do, which was going to be on the Pilot's Dash 7. We will do that as our next video. But instead, I'm going to be showing you this beastie right here, which I always lovingly call Big Bertha. This is the Cerasim rendition of the Mi-17, which is related to the Mi-8 HIP that no doubt DCS users are extremely familiar with, and that's pretty much where I got the nickname Big Bertha from. I call the HIP Big Bertha. So we're going to call this one Big Bertha as well. So Bertha is back. Yay. All right, but we're here in Papua New Guinea. We're at an airport known as Finschhaven, and Finschhaven does have a bit of history to it. It is one of the airports that was originally captured by the Japanese and taken by the Allies as part of their campaign to rid Papua New Guinea and surrounding islands of the Japanese invasion. So Finschhaven eventually became an Allied base right along the shore on Papua New Guinea, and was used in battles that took place in places like Rabaul, which is on an island just off the shore, off in that direction there, New Caledonia and all of those places. So this was one of the important staging points in World War II for them. So yeah, I figure this is a good place to start. Plus, our flight plan is going to have us going into the mountains. Because you know me, I love mountain flying in Papua New Guinea. And if you're going to do mountain flying, you either need a bush plane or a really good helicopter. And I'm hoping this is going to hit the spot for really good helicopter. It is not without its issues, however. And we're just going to caveat with that because, yeah, I got a lot to talk about with this helicopter. First thing, let's take a look at the textures. The external textures, I like the weathering. I like the bumped rivets and everything. I'm not a huge fan of the lines and the fact that the words, well, you can't really read them. I'm not so sure that this is considered HQ. I know in their, I don't want to say propaganda, but their marketing of this helicopter, Cerasim did hype this up a fair amount to say that it had high quality textures. Well, I'm in VR, and the thing with being in VR is everything is incredibly detailed to us, which means if there are flaws in your textures, guess what? We can see every one of them up close and personal. So all the pixels that are a dead giveaway that something is not as high quality as it could have been, yeah, we see all of that. We see all of that up close and personal. But I do like the fact that the normal maps do have the raised rivets, and that looks good with the lighting and everything. So there is that. That is a saving grace for these textures here. But yeah, other than that, I think the textures could have gone up a notch. I'm really not sure if this is considered like 1K textures or 2K textures. If you ask me, this looks more like half K textures. I know there's no such thing, but still, yeah, yeah, this could be a little bit better. But hey, we're not here to gawk at textures, are we? We're here to actually fly the bird and find out how well it works in VR, how intuitive it is to fly, and how much of a fun experience it is. And anyone who knows anything about the Mi-8 hip or its cousin, the Mi-17, knows it is not always an easy bird to deal with. It does have its quirks, so we're hoping that Cerasim at least put a lot of time and effort into that. But before we get to all of that, let's take a look at the external static cameras, which we use when we're flying for our cinematic shots. Alright, so first camera. Pretty straightforward stuff. I expected nothing less. Behind the bird, looking forward, great. And you can really see some of the detail that they put into like the tail rotor and everything. So that does kind of make up for the textures being a little bit on the weak side there. Alright, let's move on to the next camera. This is the ramp. Ramp does work. Ramp does not work if the electricity is off, however. So I need to remember to check that because I think I hit the switch, but then I noticed ramp did not open. I'll need to remember to check that. But here we got a good view of it here, so that's cool. You may notice that this bird sits at an angle, nose high, so that does affect a lot of these cameras here. Same thing for this view, opposite side. Again, pretty straightforward stuff, not going to complain about that. And of course, the ever popular BelGeode landing cam, which has me in the ground up to my neck. That's one of the things with VR that, you know, I just come to accept, but I love having the BelGeode landing cam so I can actually see where I'm approaching. So that works. That works pretty good. Next camera is, of course, the door shot, which this just reminds me of Armor 3. If it were Armor 3, I would actually have a little dude in there poking his head out. We're not going to do any more Armor 3 though, so sorry to disappoint you, those of you who've been waiting for Armor 3 Season 2. It's just too time consuming for me to do right now. Alright, and then we have the opposite side. Now, I don't know if this door opens. I don't think I saw anything for it, but I'll have to check the little iPad that they have in there again, because I might have just missed it. But I'm okay with just the one door opening, because that's usually the main exit anyway. And then we have this one where we're looking up at the tail rotor. This one, I kind of don't like the angle of it because of how awkward I'm sitting. I'm currently looking straight ahead. You can see what I can see there. Yeah, I'm thinking I would rather have the... Hang on, I got to move in my seat here just to get myself upright in the picture. I'd rather have a view like this, looking forward from off to the side. I think this would be a better angle, as it were. And then, of course, we've got this looking down and back. I'll probably never use this while flying because this is a very hands-on bird, and yeah, that's just going to spatially disorient me. But the wheels look nice. I'll give you that, Cerasim. The wheels do look nice. Look very grimy, as I would expect from an old Soviet-era bird. And then there's this shot. I love this shot. We might use this shot, although I do kind of wish it were slightly behind the bird at maybe the opposite angle, like put it on the starboard side, the right side, facing forward at the opposite angle to this. But I kind of get why this is done, because there's a hoist there. You might be doing rescue work. I don't even know if rescue type missions are modeled in this. Maybe in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, but definitely not in 2020. But that would be a cool feature. So, you know, you hover there and you like pick someone up. I should add, however, there is no autopilot on this thing, and that's something we're going to touch on a little bit later too. And then back to this. Okay, so we're going to keep it on this camera for right now, and we're going to go into the office. Okay, so first thing I've got to say about being in the office, thank you, Cerasim, for adding the Microsoft Asobo pilot and co-pilot. I greatly appreciate having Kara back. I've been having fun flying around with the Hype 160 with Alejandra, but let's face it, Kara's my first love, at least in Microsoft Flight Simulator. We won't talk about Ali in all the other sims. All right, so here's the iPad. So we're going to go ahead and close this door. Basically, you push it forward until it goes white, and we can confirm outside. Let's go back to the drone camera. Yep, there we go. Okay, looks good. Looks good. Definitely closed. All right, back to that camera, back inside, and here we go. Okay, so this is, like I said, A relative of the Mi-8 hip. The Mi-8 hip, of course, is more military. This was designed for more civilian usage. However, it has seen some use with other countries' militaries as well. It's a workhorse. It's designed to be a workhorse. Think of it like the Russian version of the Huey. Basically, it's that ubiquitous. It's that versatile, and so on and so forth. But again, one of the things that I am going to call Cerasim out is the textures. Look at the line going around your basic 5 gauges there. That's not high quality. Not by any stretch of the imagination. And a lot of the pictures that I saw, of course, they're going to be on 2D monitor. But let me put it this way. In VR, I have my textures set to the highest possible texture setting I can get. I can do that now that I've got the Radeon 7900 XT. This should not be blurry. This should not be blurry. The coloration is good. It doesn't 100% match, but that's something that I can forgive because it's a close enough approximation. Yeah, look at the words, do not sit down there. Again, that's a little blurry. And even though these look good, all the lettering, I can read all of that, so that is pretty decent. You can see all of that there. But when you get to something like this, the window itself, look at the frame. You can't tell me that's not blurry. Those are supposed to be rivets or screws, probably rivets. You can't make them out. You can't make them out. So somewhere along the line, some of these textures got a little bit borked. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just simply an oversight. But Cerasim, you may want to go back to the drawing board on some of these textures and make them a little bit better quality. Because right now, what I'm seeing, some of these textures look really good. Others look like FSX. And we're way beyond that time period. All right, but we have a job to do. So we're going to be visiting 3 airports. I did write it down. So as always, I'm going to need to lift up my VR headset because I can't see my actual physical notepad. All right, so we're starting at Finschhaven, obviously. And we've got 3 airports to visit. We're going to go to Makini Airport. The ICAO code for that is Mike Papa Golf. After Makini, we're going to be going to Pindiu Airport. I don't know if I'm spelling or pronouncing that correctly. That is Alpha Yankee Papa Delta. And then finally, we're going to wrap up at Mike X-Ray Kilo, which is Mindik Airport. And I am really hoping that it is going to be a 13-minute flight because as you can see, yeah, the weather's not looking good at all. All right, so I guess first things first, we're going to need to start this thing. And I'll be honest with you folks, it's been a little while since I've flown the DCS Mi-8, so I have completely forgotten the entire start procedure. Thankfully, however, we do have the Microsoft InSim checklist. Or do we? Really, Cerasim? Really? Why is there no InSim checklist? Yes, I understand the PDF is there, and the PDF does have a very robust checklist that is basically true to life. It's what you would expect to find. But we need this, especially for those of us in VR who literally cannot see PDFs unless we have like an external app going that, you know, imports them in so that we can see them presented here. Or you could have even put it on this thing, which honestly, I don't see an option for that. I see many options: pitot cover, engine cover, sliding doors. Okay, so there is a sliding door control. But yeah, nothing about a checklist. We do have a couple of options though, ready to fly in cold and dark. So guess what I'll be doing? Since there's no checklist, come on, Cerasim. It's not just you. I'm not just picking on you. I'm picking on every developer that does not do this. There is a reason why Asobo put this in here. Please use it. Please. That's all I ask. All right, so no checklist for us. Oh well. But we can get this puppy started by simply going ready to fly. First things first, make sure your rotor brake is off. And I do believe my rotor brake is currently set to off. It should be on now. I forget where the rotor brake is. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, rotor brake is now off, which is fine. All right. There are some things that do look a little bit different to me, but a lot of stuff is similar, like my fuel controls up there and whatnot, and the APU controls and so on. The big thing that catches a lot of people with this helicopter are the walls O breakers, but you will notice at the very bottom of each row of breakers is a breaker bar that you can use to flip stuff on or off. Use that. It helps. And I think all of these are defaulting to on anyway because the bar flips up to turn everything on. So all your breakers should already be on. Your electrics and everything, your generators, all of that is in the back, and you got your inverters and so on. And in typical Russian fashion, you got to flip one way and then start up and then flip it the other way so that you can provide juice once it's started. It's a complex process. Ain't nobody got time for that today. Okay, so we'll let it do its thing. You can hear the APU winding up now. Let's go to the outside view and check it out. One thing it's missing, there's usually a little flame coming out of the back of the APU at the very top there. I don't know if I just simply missed that in my timing getting out here, but if it's not there, that would be a cool thing to add. Just that little flash of fire that comes out every now and then. But it looks like the APU is up and running, so the engines should both be starting now, and hopefully we'll get enough RPMs to be able to fly this puppy. All right, so we'll go back inside. Okay, so we can check our RPMs by going here, this gauge right here. We want to have it up to about 94% RPM and have it stay there in order to fly. Any less than that, yeah, Big Bertha ain't going anywhere. All right, but looks like our GPS is ready to go, so I'm going to go ahead and set that up because that takes a little while to go through all of that stuff. We do have a message. What does the message say? Set course to 288. Okay, not a problem. I can do that while I'm waiting for everything to pop up. Course 288. I like the clicking sounds. The audio on this bird is really good. It's just the visuals that are a bit of a disappointment. So Cerasim, you done did good when it comes to the actual sounds of a hip. This does sound like an Mi-8/Mi-17 hip. It's just the visuals where it needs, in my opinion, a lot of work, I feel. All right, so there we go, 288. I'm not even going to worry about my heading knob. We'll just leave that as it is. As long as the course says we're going the right way, then that's really all I care about. So you can see the ocean there, and that is just off to the east of us, so pretty much directly forward of where we're looking. And we're just making sure everything is up to where it should be. RPMs, yep, just about at 94 or 95%. Temperature's looking good. Let's check our gas. One thing they did include is the VR zoom. So normally I don't typically use a VR zoom. I'm an old-fashioned kind of person, so in VR I simply lean forward, and that's how I can see better. Same as I would in real life, obviously. But comes in handy when Kara is occupying the space to just go, hey, look at that. See that yellow dot there? That's our fuel. We have plenty. We're good to go. All right, let's get some lights in here because it's a little dim. So we got Kara's instrument panel, we got Kara's switch panel, and you'll notice everything is flickering. I don't know if that is a VR only thing because I have not watched anyone else's videos or first looks or whatever, but I notice all the lights are flickering, and I don't know if that is intended by design or if maybe I'm having a bug. Not sure. But I do know one thing though. In a weird way, I kind of like it because it just screams old Soviet to me. Like, yeah, we've got everything working fine. The battery's fine. If it ain't flickering, then it's definitely not doing the right thing. But it is flickering, so I'm okay with that. I just hope it doesn't cause anybody to have any issues, like seizures or anything. All right, we're gonna go nav lights. They're currently set to dim, so that's off, that's bright. Formation lights, no. Blade tip lighting, ooh, Let's check that out. Yeah, if you look closely on the tips there, you will most definitely see some slime lights on the end there. That's nice. I like that. Okay, so since we did a quick start here, we don't have to worry about the engine control levers. They're where they need to be. Normally we would raise those as part of the startup sequence. Collective is good to go. Pretty much everything is good to go at this point in time. Except I've got some caution and warning lights here, so I have no idea why that is. Parking brake is on. Okay, that might be why. Radar altimeter, we'll set that to 200. We should be good there. And I want to say that's all we need to do. Let's go ahead and get our taxi lights on, however. There we go. Taxi lights should be on. Landing lights is right next to it. It is a little difficult to reach the click spot for that, but it can be done. I've seen some people complaining they can't turn on their landing lights. Trust me, you can. If I can do it in VR, you can do it in 2D. Okay, one thing I do want, however, you can't sit in a hip and not have a little fan going. I love that. That right there is the biggest selling point for this helicopter, to me, is a little fan, and the fact that it's so loud, as you would expect it to be. Alright, so taxiing out in this bird is going to be interesting. And I say that because this thing has a nasty habit of tipping over. It's a tricycle gear, as you no doubt saw outside. It's a bit of a beast to move. So let's get the parking brakes off. And we're going to give it a little bit of forward cyclic. Bring the collective up and see what she wants to do. Clearly she wants to veer to the left. We kind of expected that, so I'm actually going to influence that by giving it a little bit of left anti-torque pedal. And we're going to balance that out. Now you will notice that I am starting to lose a little bit of RPMs. I'm not 100% sure that's normal because I don't recall that happening on the other version of the Mi-8. Yeah, you can see we've got a warning light on because our RPMs are actually dipping a bit. It might be because I've got a ton of right anti-torque in right now. So I'm going to ease that slightly. We'll see if the RPMs come back up. Yep, if you put in a lot of anti-torque, then that will happen. Your RPMs go down. We're going to chalk that up to one of the quirks of the Mi-17. But I will say this, folks, this helicopter is a workout. It is a workout. As I mentioned, there is no autopilot on this thing. You see where it says autopilot there? None of that works. And to make matters worse, and this one I am going to call out, I don't believe the trim works properly on this thing. Now I can forgive the autopilot simply because, well, that's Asobo's bad. Asobo should have given us autopilot for helicopters. They haven't. Alright, I'm just going to roll out. We're not even going to bother with the brakes down, throttles up. We're just going to get some collective going and trundle down the runway. Very carefully. Very carefully. You know, I feel like a noob again. This is exactly how it was in DCS, learning how to fly this bird. I'm glad that that's replicated here, because she is a really difficult bird to fly until you get to know her better. But yeah, the trim don't work. Trim does not work, or at least I have not found a way to make it work. And I do have longitudinal trim and lateral trim set in this thing, or in any of my helicopter profiles, and it does not work right. It'll work if I hold down the control, but as soon as I let it go, it's just completely disappeared. And you can see above the autopilot those 4 lines, 1 vertical and 3 horizontal. That's your trim. It doesn't move. It doesn't do a dang thing. Now maybe I'm just missing a button. I'm actually going to switch hands here, so my left hand is now on the cyclic while my right hand is on the mouse. And yeah, you can see we've got no indication of anything working. It all says inop. So I'm kind of hoping that Cerasim can work on that and put that in there. At least make it so the trim works, because this helicopter does require trim. It flies a hell of a lot better when you've got trim. I'm going to let go of the cyclic right here, and you'll see we're trimming, or we're pitching up. So I'm going to hold down the trim. You can see the nose is going down, but as soon as I let it go, guess what? We're going right back up again. Not to mention we're going to the left, which is obviously not good. But hey, we're airborne. It's all that counts, right? Works for me. Now, as far as flying this bird, she really does feel good when you fly it. Well, with the trim and autopilot issues aside, I actually like it. I actually really like it. It's just those little things that I think could go the extra mile to make this a really outstanding bird. And that's going to be up to Cerasim to implement. Alright, so we're heading back towards the airport, and we needed to be on a heading of what, 288, I think it was. I probably should have set my GPS properly. Normally what I do with the GPS is I go into menu and I cycle down to this, data fields on, and we go enter, and there we go. So there we go. Now at least it'll tell me what heading I should be going, and this is actually the proper heading. So we're going to get some more airspeed going here. So I'm going to dip the nose down. We'll give it a bit more collective. You'll notice our rate of climb is going up. See, this is why I need the trim, because I could negate all of that with the trim. But we're just shy of 60 knots right now, and we're well underway, so I'm okay with that. And with that said, let's go to the outside view. One thing I will say, she certainly does sound like a hip. Well done on the audio. That just sounds perfect in my opinion. So thank you very much for that. All right, this is probably going to be a bad idea, but I want to see if I can get some kind of title shot for this, because you know me, I come up with my thumbnails based on what I'm recording on a video. So we've got a good altitude here. We have no autopilot to keep us steady, but I'm going to go back to the outside view really quick and see if I can get a good shot. Yep, this is how BelGeode dies. Doing crazy shenanigans just to get a picture. Okay, yeah, it doesn't help that the weather is bad, and that is definitely my bad. I set that like that. So yeah, I wanted a challenge, and this is what I get for my trouble. Alright, I do need some more forward airspeed, so I'm going to see if I can get under these clouds, if that's even possible, because I do see that hill up ahead. You know how I feel about cumulogranitus. It's always a bad thing. I do like that the mirrors work. That is definitely a Mi-8, Mi-17 trademark, is having those little rear view mirrors there. I'm not sure that we have one on the opposite side, but if we don't, that's still fine. Alright, we are heading in the right direction, and I can't see crap. Really, I have gimped myself today. I seriously have. I've gone full IFR here in a helicopter that, yeah, I'm not prepared to fly IFR. This could end badly, folks. I'm just telling you from now. This could end really badly for good old BelGeode, huh? And it is so easy in this bird to lose your spatial orientation. So you can see I'm already swinging out to the right a bit. Doesn't help that I've got winds blowing too, so yeah, that's a problem. That's going to need to be addressed. But the fact that this thing is such a squirrely bird is definitely not a bad thing for Cerasim. I would say the flight model, aside from the things that I've mentioned concerning the autopilot and the trim, those are obviously major things. Autopilot, not much you can really do about unless Asobo does what they need to do on their end. But at the very least, the trim should be in there. I think if it had that, that would make this bird a little bit easier to fly. Or you could, of course, put on all the assistance settings in the control settings on. You know me. I don't roll that way. Ooh, there is a river down below us, so let's see if we can see it. I promise, I'll try not to crash us. Yeah, folks, this is what I enjoy. Flying around in Papua New Guinea in crappy weather. Just praying that I can at least locate my airport, let alone land at it. And just think, this is stuff that's done every day. Maybe not always with helicopters, although I would assume they probably do use helicopters there. But think about all the bush planes, you know, your Twin Otters and your PC-6s and everything that have to come in here to bring life-saving medicines and food and supplies and, I don't know, maybe the latest iPhone 9s or whatever iPhone it's up to. I don't use an iPhone, so I have no idea what is the latest. I'm just pulling names out of my butt here. But you know what I'm trying to say. This is quite possibly the worst place to be a bush pilot, and yet it attracts so many people because of that challenge. I would say that the fixed-wing guys probably have it worse, because I'm in a helicopter. All I have to do is just locate my airport, circle around as I descend, and, you know, gently try to plop her down on the side of a hill. But can you imagine coming in with, like, a PC-6? That's just nuts. You gotta be a certain kind of crazy to even pull that off. Although I'm sure all the PC-6 aficionados out there, which I do consider myself one, are probably like, well, you gotta be a special kind of crazy to be flying a helicopter, especially in this weather in Papua New Guinea. And you know what? You're 100% correct. I cannot fault you on that. Alright, but how far away are we from our airport? We are 4.4 nautical miles away. And I do notice some white on that texture there, which tells me Asobo didn't cover the entire island. They missed a spot. Whenever you see white showing through underneath the trees, that pretty much means that the satellite imagery that they got was not perfect, and it actually shows clouds in the image. Normally the AI is supposed to clear that stuff out and just give it like a default green to work with, but clearly that one was missed. So yeah, it happens. Alright, I'm still on a quest though to get perfect external shots, so let's see if we can do it again. I'm keeping my collective right there, so that'll keep us on an even keel. We are kind of veering off a little to the left, so let me see if I can straighten us up here. Alright, that's good enough. And let's quickly go to the outside so I can snag a picture. Go figure. I actually didn't like that because it's got the white in it, the clouds. So yeah, we'll work on that a little later. Alright, but you know what? I think I see our first airstrip. When I did my test flight, this was actually my final destination. And I do recall that it had that red dirt, as we used to call it in Jamaica, that bauxite dirt. Basically, it's iron-rich dirt that gives it that red, rusty color. And we can definitely see it ahead behind this cloud, or this mist, whatever this is. Humidity's kind of high today. So yeah, I'm going to start bringing us down a little bit here. It says we are at about 4,000 feet above sea level. Radar altimeter has not gone off once. This is good. I'm okay with this. It's when the radar altimeter starts going off that we have a problem. Alright, let's get our landing lights on. I know we still have our taxi lights on, but now we have both. Now we have both. Quick look outside. Hopefully I won't crash. Okay, yes, landing lights are most definitely on. And I'm going to need to give us a little bit of right pedal here. And yes, that is most definitely our first stop. Alright, so we're going to see if we can bring her in. As always, watch your airspeed. You want to try and avoid things like vortex ring state. It is not the be-all and end-all to determine how quote-unquote realistic a helicopter is, because you should be trying to avoid it necessarily. You should not be looking for it just to prove that the helicopter flight dynamics is good. Trust me, if you're messing up, you'll know. You'll know. Alright, I'm thinking we're going to need to come in this way, the way that we're pointing, but we're a little too high up, so we're going to need to circle around. Right traffic looks to be good, because we've got a valley down there, so yes, I can handle this. And we are still a little bit fast. If I could trim us up, that would be great. But here I go, trimming us up, and when I let go of the trim, guess what? Right back down. But I do like that blade slap, though. That blade slap is good. Very good. Alright, we're at 40 knots now, so I don't want to get any slower than that. Give it a little bit more collective. Try to keep us at around 500 feet per minute descent. That's the part that I see a lot of people struggling with helicopters, is coming in to approach and to land. Granted, this helicopter is a little bit tougher than most to wrestle with, so you would be forgiven if you have problems trying to land this bird. But just keep in mind, your most important gauges when you're actually coming in are going to be that rate of climb gauge on the right, your vertical velocity indicator, and your airspeed. Right about now, when we start getting below 40 knots, or you can see we're at 25 knots right now, that's when you want to make sure that you're keeping your collective input in. You do not want your rate of climb to drop below 1,000 feet per minute. Or even worse, 1,500 feet per minute. Because if that happens, I can just about guarantee you your flight's going to end. Or let's just say you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get out of a situation that you have put yourself into. And we all know what situation that's called. Alright, but we are parallel to our airport. Do you see it over there, Kara? Kara's not feeling chatty. I think Kara's jealous because I've been spending so much time with Alejandra. Isn't that right, dear? Yeah, see, she's giving me the silent treatment. I know she's pissed. She is totally pissed. Alright, so we're back up to 45 knots, and you can see we are level, relatively speaking, but we are at 2,000 and change as far as altitude goes. So I'm going to swing us around real quick, and we're going to see if we can pull her in. We have, according to this, about 10 miles to go until we get to the next stop. I'll try and see if we can go a little bit faster. This helicopter in knots can usually pull around 120, 130. You don't want to go any faster than that, however, because Bertha will complain. Bertha will complain a lot. I'm going to drop us down here a bit too. Watch that airspeed. Watch that airspeed. We're at 30. Let's give it a little bit of right torque pedal or anti-torque pedal. Got the collective coming up as the airspeed is dropping. We're going to push it forward a bit. We're adding a bit of pedal. It's a dance. It is most definitely a dance. It is a ballet when you're flying something like this, especially since it has no trim or autopilot on there. Alright, I'm starting to pull the collective down a bit. I'm still giving it a fair amount of right pedal because we do have the wind to contend with as well. But you can see our airspeed is starting to creep up again to about 30 knots. So we're going to nose up just a touch. Collective down just a touch. Try to keep it around 500 feet per minute. And you can see I'm going to need more right pedal and more forward airspeed to avoid these trees on the left side of our airport. And there's the radar altimeter, right on time. It's as if it knew we were talking about it. So far, I gotta say, she is a handful, but she is a joy to fly. For somebody like me who takes a liking to some of the more unusual birds in any flight sim, whether it be DCS, X-Plane, Microsoft, or Aerofly, I appreciate this. I greatly appreciate helicopters like this being brought into the sim, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that I would love to fly. And like I said, a lot of my complaints about this bird have to do with stuff that, honestly, I think they could fix in an update or two, but obviously there's some stuff that they'll have to wait for a Sobo to actually work on. Okay, let's get them brakes going. But here we are, folks. Collective all the way down, and we are here. Let's see what heading we need now. We need heading of 298, so I'm going to set that up on my course knob here. And you know what? I actually kind of like this little airport that we're at right now, so I'm thinking I may want to see if I can get my title shot outside. Yeah, that's it right there. That's my money shot. Hang on, I gotta lift up the headset just to make sure it looks good. Oh, it looks great. I love it. Love it. The camera loves you, Bertha. Alright, let's get back to this. Okay, so we're ready for our next destination. We've got about 9 miles to get there, and getting out of here is going to be the trick. I dare say we should probably take off in the opposite direction, but sometimes I like to tempt fate. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to slowly but surely bring the collective up, see what the helicopter wants to do. She's getting light on the wheels right now. And she wants to turn left, of course, so we're giving it some right pedal. We're just going to go straight up. She naturally wants to pitch forward, which is fine by me, as long as that RPM doesn't dip too much, because I'm giving it a lot of right pedal right now just to keep her going straight. And now I'm going to add some collective here. just to get that forward speed going. ETL takes over, effective translational lift. Give it a little more collective, get out of that 200.
Moresby Center, November 70 Alpha Golf Bravo, is type 1 miles
Oh,
west
you finally
of
decided to say
Golf,
something.
2,700 feet. Request flight following.
Okay. Do your thing, Kara.
70 Alpha Golf Bravo, Port Moresby Center. Squawk 1657.
1657, got it.
Squawk 1657 Alpha Golf Bravo.
Well, I'm glad you joined the show.
Radar contact 1 miles northwest of Mike Papa Golf, 3,100 feet. Altimeter 29.902.
All right, altimeter is set.
Roger Alpha Golf Bravo.
Okay, good deal, good deal. All right, let's see if we can get some more airspeed here. I know that we are going a little bit on the fast side. So once again, this is one of those situations where if I could trim the bird down, I could control my airspeed a little bit better and negate some of this rate of climb that we're getting instead of having to point the nose almost 20 degrees towards the ground just to keep her in level flight. Yeah. Cerasim, with the reputation that you have had over the years for some absolutely phenomenal helicopter products going all the way back to like FSX days, come on. You know you can do this. You know you can do this. Please do this. It's not a whole heck of a lot to make this helicopter even more ready for prime time. I'm not going to say they rushed this out, but the fact that it launched on Black Friday, could have probably taken a couple of extra days to finish that up. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I don't know what the true story is behind their decision to bring it out now. Don't get me wrong, I'm really glad that they did. But it would have been nice if I would have gotten a preview copy of this bird so that I can at least point these things out. They can fix them and make sure that the launch is absolutely stellar instead of me having to purchase this thing on Black Friday, which goes against every philosophical tenet that I have regarding doing anything on Black Friday, just so that I can tell you now some of the stuff that I have found wrong with this bird. But with that being said, please remember, it's not a whole hell of a lot of stuff that I have found wrong with this bird. I've already outlined it. There's no need for me to go over it again. You can see it on the video. But yeah, it would be nice if there's going to be an update coming that will address some of the issues. At the very least, that in-sim checklist, please, for the love of everything helicopter God-related holy, if there is such a thing, please give us an in-sim checklist. Throw us VR guys a bone. And I know more than just VR users use it, but it matters the most to us since we can't see anything outside of the world that we're looking at right now. And that is me off my soapbox for this week. And this, folks, is exactly why those static camera angles are so important to me. I love taking a break from talking and going to the outside view just to kind of show you the beauty of the bird and the world around us. It's extremely difficult to do that when the camera angles are all off kilter. Yeah, and you know me, I am no stranger to fixing developers' cameras.cfg, sending it to them and being like, hey, can you update your cameras.cfg to what I have given you? Because this will work better. And I realize sometimes when they do stuff like this, it's because they're thinking, hey, you know, you can get some great screen arching shots and so on and so forth. And especially for the 2D people who are on those big monitors that like their big wallpapers and stuff like that, yeah, I can totally see where some of those angles are more artsy, more cinematic. It doesn't work when you're trying to record a video in VR with a helicopter that has no autopilot. So, expect a cameras.cfg file coming soon is what I'm trying to say here, Cerasim. Alright, but we are closing in on our next destination, and as you can see, I am way high and way fast. So we're going to need to circle around, which is good because I've never actually been to this airport, so I have no idea what we're dealing with down there. To me, it just looks like a mud strip. I could be wrong. This is no Orbix, after all. Although the Orbix airports are off in that direction. And I use the term airports loosely, by the way. We're still waiting to see what Orbix comes out with next for their Papua New Guinea pack. No doubt they will be in my email inbox to let me know once that is ready, and I will be more than happy to show that off because what they bring to the table greatly improves upon what Microsoft has done. I'm kind of hoping that they will tackle places like Tapini, which is a tradition in Orbix, the FSX and P3D versions. Both of those I owned at one point in time. In fact, I think there might even still be a video of me flying the Piper Cub, the A2A Sims Piper Cub, in Orbix Tapini scenery for P3D. So you can probably look up that old video if you are so inclined. As for me, I'm going to see if we can get it down to the deck because we are at 4,800 feet. And as you can see, yeah, the airstrip is way down there below us. Alright, what is this warning light here? Parking brake is still on. Seriously? Whoops. How did I forget that? That's a rookie mistake there. Although it does help if you're doing those vertical takeoff and landings there. You really shouldn't have your brakes on anyway in this helicopter when you're doing any kind of landing. After you touch down, yeah, sure, no problem. Before you touch down, you might want to keep the brakes off. Just in case, because this thing is a tricycle, like I said, and it does like to tip over. Easily. How best can I describe it? Imagine you're trying to balance on a bowling ball and you've got an umbrella in your hand, a very, very large umbrella. And you're trying to balance on that bowling ball. And you need to move the umbrella to figure out which way the helicopter goes. Yeah, I'm not sure if my analogy is coming through. Hopefully you can picture it. But if you can picture it, you have an idea of what it's like flying this dang thing. Alright, let's go back to the outside view. We'll do the BelGeode landing cam as we turn ourselves around, descend, and do the hokey pokey and bring ourselves in. You know, there are just some times when the scenery is just drop dead gorgeous. Here we are out in the middle of nowhere. Like literally, the middle of nowhere. Even back in World War II days, there was like nothing here except, of course, the natives who, from my understanding, some of them used to eat people. I believe that was the case, and I think it was only till the start of this century that that practice was finally something that they stopped. That we know of anyway. For all we know, there could still be cannibals down there looking at that like, hey, Meals on Wheels is coming in. What do you want? You want the dark meat or you want the light meat? We got both to choose from. It's a virtual smorgasbord up in that cockpit. But yeah. Alright, collective is coming down. You know me, I like to tell you what I'm doing just to kind of give you an idea of what it's like to control this thing. But again, watch the rate of climb. You can see the airspeed is dropping rapidly because I've got the nose pointed up, and you hear the blade slap, that awesome blade slap. Thank you so much, Cerasim. If that was not in there, I would definitely tell you folks that this is not realistic. But just having that blade slap in there, a lot of times you're going to listen to your helicopter to figure out what it's doing so that you can compensate for it. It will tell you. And Bertha is not afraid to complain to you at all. Alright, but yeah, we're looking good. We're on approach here. Bear in mind, we do have one more airport to get to. It's about 5 miles to get there, so we're going to fly a little bit lower. We'll spend more time in the cockpit, less time outside, but I just want to touch down here. We do have that tree in the way, though. That's a little concerning. We're at 30 knots right now. Collective coming down ever so slightly. I can't tell you exactly what percentage of my collective throw I'm at because it is varying right now. I'm going up and down with the collective just to make sure we don't lose too much in the way of vertical feet per minute. Okay, there's a radar altitude saying we are now below 200, which is fine. And we're going to skim the tops of these trees. You know what? Let's go to the outside view as we do this. And we're down, got the brakes, set the parking brakes, woo! And that, folks, is why I love the BelGeode landing cam. That's just awesome. Alright, so at our second stop, we have 4.9 miles to go to get to our third stop, and we need a course heading of 245, so let's go ahead and change that before I forget. See, I'm kind of liking this video because it's giving me more time to fly. I know a lot of the times when I do these videos, I typically end up spending half the video just doing the startup because I believe it's important when you do these things to evaluate how the startup procedure works in VR. That's a very crucial thing for a lot of us who fly. It's not often that we'll just simply hop in a bird and go. Usually we want a full experience. We want to go from cold and dark all the way through everything. Unless, of course, we're in a rush. But yeah, that's why I do that. And I like this particular video because even though we're lacking the checklist and couldn't start it up manually, we did have that one button push and we're on our way, basically. All right, let's go to the outside view, the drone cam. Oh, that could be a money shot too. Hold on, let me take a look at this. You know, I kind of like this shot too. So yeah, these are all default airstrips, but they were added in with World Update 13 for Oceania. And I am just glad that Asobo Microsoft gave a lot of love to this area because it really, really needed it. And just having more options on ridiculous places to come in and land at is so worth it, in my opinion. Alright, so we've done our once around the bird, so let's head back into the cockpit and we'll complete this flight. Okay, let's make sure everything's good. Landing lights are still on. Yeah, we're fine. Looks like everything is set. Now, I did notice that my side, these lights are not on. That's because I forgot to do this. There we go. All right, so now I've got light. However, I do notice, what is that? That is an artifact. What's going on there, Cerasim? Are you trying to tell me this bulb is about to die, or is it not supposed to do that? I'm inclined to think it's not supposed to do that. Well, that's just me. All right, so we're going to go back to the outside view. I got to remember to turn the parking brakes off. We'll do that immediately after takeoff. But we are going to head out. It looks like when we do take off and start pushing forward, we're going to need to go that way. So here we go, folks. On to our final destination, less than 5 miles away. As you can tell, I still do have a fair amount of pedal in there just to kind of keep us going in the right direction there. Now I'm taking the pedal all the way out, and you can already see that we are veering pretty far to the left. So I'm just going to line us up with a coarse needle here, and now we're good to go. Well, relatively speaking, she still wants to go left, but then a lot of that is because I am pulling a lot of collective right now just to make sure that we can make it over this hill. You can see we're climbing at a rate of about 900 feet per minute. We're already at 4,000 and change in altitude. There you go, 4,200, almost 43. And our airspeed is still kind of slow. We're still below 40 knots. So as soon as I get over this this hill here, oh, there's a little bit of jiggles there. I think that's the VR headset. I don't think that's actually the helicopter itself. But as soon as we get over this hill, then we'll go ahead and bring her down. Alright, so one more stop to go, and I think this should be easy street for us. Famous last words, right? Now, at the time this video is going live, it should be Monday the 27th of November. That is, of course, the ending day for the Navigraph Flight Sim survey. I am hoping that a lot of you filled it out, especially a lot of you VR pilots, because it is our one chance in the year to basically show the entire community that we are growing. I know it because I am an admin in multiple VR groups, so I can actually see all the people that have come in, and usually the security questions that we ask them is, which headset do you have, or which headset are you looking to purchase, or you know what your challenges are with currently doing flight simming in VR. So we can see, and there's a lot of people that are coming in. The problem is, there's not a lot of you that are filling out surveys. It's only a 20-minute survey. I don't know if I can get this video up in time for you to still have time to fill out that survey, but if you have not done so, please do so today, the date this video goes live. The results will come out in December. Typically Navigraph will show us all the nifty little pie charts and graphs and all of that kind of stuff, and we can all see just how the flight sim community has done. And that is probably what I'm looking forward to most, because I know for a fact there are now more VR users this year than there were last year. And I thought we had a pretty good showing last year. We were up to about 21% of the flight sim community that utilizes VR. That's a significant number, folks. That is a very significant number, and it's part of the reason why I keep doing this sort of stuff. It's also part of the reason why I greatly admire folks like Steve, VR flight sim guy, or Jose, the VR pilot, because they're bringing more attention to this and they're bringing more transparency when it comes to what equipment is out there, you know, what you can do in VR, how you can set yourself up so that your VR experience will be great and whatnot. So if you're not following those guys, I will put links to their channel below. Definitely give them a follow. And of course, tell them BelGeode sent you. Also, go ahead and follow helisimmer.com, because helisimmer.com gave me the heads up on this helicopter coming out. And they did kind of tell me be prepared for the textures, so that's why I keep harping on that, because of the fact that they were not kidding. They were not kidding. Textures could use some work. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm done. I'm done, Cerasim. I'm off your butt right now. Just do what you have to. You know the reputation you have. I would like to see you keep the reputation you have, so do the right thing, please. For all of our sakes, not just the VR users. Alright, but there we go. This is our final destination. It should be popping up on your little pop-up commentary at the bottom right there. So we're going to make our turnaround here. We're coming in awful fast at 80 knots or 75 knots, so we're going to slow it down a bit. Parking brake's still on, so I forgot to turn that off. And the parking brake, by the way, is on your cyclic, so you can see the little brake handle there that's moving as I push it in and out. That corresponds to the actual brake handle that I've got on the Tomcat stick, which hopefully I will have remembered to flash a picture of that up right now so you can see what I'm talking about. The parking brake I have on a button, but basically what that does is it just holds the, as I call it, the bicycle brake in place, which is kind of cool. I like it. Alright, let's go back to the outside view as we work our way in. We are now down to about 50 knots and a descent rate of about 300 feet per minute, so I'm going to lower the collective just a touch here as we swing ourselves around. And clearly, as you can see, we're still too high up. We're still at 4,000 feet. That's awful high. So we're going to do what we call a tactical descent. Here's how we do a tactical descent. Keep our airspeed above 40. Now we can drop down to minus 1,500 feet per minute. And then we're going to pull up. As the airspeed falls off, I'm dropping collective, bearing in mind, once I get past that point, I'm going to put collective back in there before we fall through the sky here. So you can see we're running out of runway, our speed is coming down, collective is going back up, and I'm actually starting to add a little bit of right pedal here, making sure that we basically kill our rate of descent. This helicopter does not like if you pedal to the right, but that's what we're going to do. That is exactly what we're going to do. A little bit more collective. We're now in ground effect, so we got that ground effect hover working to our advantage here, and I'm going to just set her down right here so that way she'll sit mostly flat since we're pretty much at an angle here. Right about there. And that's how we do with Big Bertha. So seriously, folks, I do have to give Cerasim some credit. This is a pretty dang good bird as far as how it flies and how it sounds. Obviously, I've told you some of the issues that I have. Autopilot, trim, I'm looking at you. Graphics, I'm looking at you. But other than that, I really do like this bird. They did do it justice for the most part. And I'm going to go ahead and open the ramp just because we can. So let's do that there. We'll also slide our door open. Can we slide the other door open? I'm certainly going to try. All right, there we go. So there you have it, folks. Just to remind you, Flight Sim Expo is coming up next year, June 21st through 23rd, 2024 in Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas! We'll be at the Tropicana. Yes, I do plan on going there. Right about now, there's going to be a link in the video description where you can go to the Flight Sim Expo site and you can start making your plans to head out there. They've got discounts on hotel stay, they've got discounts on airline flights, and so on and so forth. Registration will open in December. When that becomes available, I will make it known on one of these Microsoft Flight Simulator videos. And of course, it'll be all over Facebook and Twitter. But yeah, I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed my little flight in Big Bertha, the Mi-17 relative of the Mi-8 by Mill. And this particular bird is brought to us by Cerasim. It is, of course, PAYWARE. The link will be in the video description below. That'll go directly to their site. I always recommend that you buy directly from a developer's site as opposed to anywhere else, because they deserve to get paid for their hard work, even if they still have a little bit more work to do. The scenery, of course, has all been default, provided to us by Microsoft and Asobo in World Update 13, Oceania. And that will just about do it for me and Kara. So, thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. I've been flying... I can't speak anymore. I've been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And this has been the Cerasim Mi-17 HIP. I do recommend you pick this up. Just bear in mind that the developers do have a little bit of work to do to get it even more impressive than it already is. But if you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like and don't forget to subscribe, and I will be back sometime in the very near future with some more Flight Simulator goodness. Until then, folks, I wish you all the best. Ciao.